Morning ladies and gentlemen, here we are today at Parkgate Leisure. Give us a thumbs up, make your comments. Today's little recording is a walk round user guide, operational video for this lovely Bessacarr E495, which is quite a big one. But what we're basically going to be doing here today is just showing you how everything works on it. So straight off the bat, there's your water. Here's your electric cable. Don't have one that's got a gap on it like that, because that's naughty. There's your release button for it. Pull it out. Make sure when you're plugging them in that plastic flap goes inside. It's easier to do with two hands than one, but there you go. Your cassette toilet. Lots of videos on these, but basically there's your release. Somebody's left the flap down inside, but that slides out. Make sure the thing's shut inside or it won't slide out, as has just been demonstrated. Once you've got it out, unscrew that, and that's your tip point. Loads of videos on more detailed use of those. This needs to come off as and when you are using your water heater, because that's your exhaust outlet, and with that on, the exhaust won't breathe and it'll just keep clicking off. Around this side you've got your waste water. That's currently in the open position, draining any waste out. That's closed. That's obviously just your grey. Little locker there, I'm not sure why I'm showing you in that, but that's your grey water for showers, sinks, etc. Gas locker, we've just stuck a bottle in for the customer there today. Here is your purge valve, so when you have disconnected your gas or had it off for a long time, or your gas just isn't working, just press that with the gas bottle on to purge the gas through. The only other thing on the outside really is your diesel. Need to use the ignition key for that. Got a canopy up there as well. Just remember the handle for the canopy's in there. When you're using these, wind it out as short a distance as possible, and then get the legs down. Once the legs are down, then you can carry on winding it out. So control panel up here, there's your on off. Remember, this is just going to be a very basic guide. There's your on off. That is your outside light. That's your inside lights. And that turns all of the lights on and off but there are also switches, etc., for all the lights dotted around as well. This goes through a whole load of other menu options on the side there, which we're not going to go through the details of those today. That flicks between your cab battery and your leisure battery. So the red light there indicating that obviously there's danger, because if you run your van on the engine battery and flatten it, you're not going anywhere in the morning. However, if you're plugged into mains and you select engine battery, then the mains will actually charge your engine battery. So if you were to flatten it or leave your headlights on or something, you can charge on site at home just by plugging into mains and using the motorhome's inboard charger that would normally charge your leisure to charge your engine. So that's giving you your indication there's a quarter of a tank of fresh, there's no waste on board, which one would hope because you've just seen that's open, etc. But so there you go, that's your basic there. Down here, hole in the floor, that's down to your fresh water tank. Don't know if you can see in there, but that's where the bung is. You have to put your hand in, pull that bung, and that dumps your fresh water. Over here is your fridge. So we've got your on-off button, press and hold. Press and hold to turn it on. Once it's on auto at the minute. You can manually select gas, 240 volt, auto, 12 volt, gas, 240, auto. Now just bear in mind that when it's on 12 volt, it's not going to run from a 12 volt leisure battery. It'll only operate if the engine is started. So the 12 volt draw on these is fairly hefty, or far too hefty for a leisure battery to cope with, so your engine has to be running, and that's the same on pretty much all motorhomes. And that's your temperature setting for your fridge. No real settings inside, but do bear in mind that in the back of this catch here there's a little pull out piece that clips into there, and locks your fridge door partially open when not in use. Okay, moving towards the back of the van, we'll deal with the other drain valve. So there's that boiler, which is, you saw the exhaust vent on the outside there, which would need to be off. If you're going to use this, you don't need to put it on and off every time you use it. You take it off, go on holiday, and maybe put it back on when you got back from your holiday. It's not a daily or hourly thing that you need to pop the thing on and off. Now in here's your water pump. If that ever goes, just buy one the same. You should be able to fit that yourselves. And down there, that yellow lever, that is your drain point. So you can hear the water dumping out the bottom, and the water pump's just kicked in to refill. So important to note, if you spring a leak or leave something like that open, the water pump on, the water pump will just keep pumping until there's no water left, and then it'll keep pumping until it burns itself out. So when you're leaving the van in, you know, long term, turn your water pump off. In fact, I think on this van your 12-volt system is off when you start the engine, but I think it's important to have them off when you're driving as well, because you wouldn't necessarily hear that if you were driving. But that's your drain point. Again, that just needs to be done when you've finished using your van and you're not going to use it for a few weeks. Drain that out, because if it freezes and you've got to replace parts in there, it gets expensive. So heating. Okay, we've got standard gas heater. Spin this round, hold it down, click, 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 it'll light. There is a little spy hole there, very difficult to get your head in the right angle to see, but you'll hear the thing on, and that would just be heat coming out of this fire, the end, nothing else. On this side, however, you've got a blown air system, so that's, you control the speed. That's an automatic setting on that side, but basically there's a fan in the back of there pulling the heat off and blowing it out of these little vents that are dotted around the motorhome. Another one there, and that distributes the heat much more efficiently. And this is quite a long van, so that can be quite a useful feature. So that's gas fire, that's a 12-volt system blowing the air around, but you have also got electric heating on this, which is run from here. That's 500 watts, that's 1000 watts, that's 2000 watts, and that's your room stat. And basically when you're putting these on, it's an electric bar in the back of that fire, so the heat will still come out of there, and you can then still use your 12-volt blower to blow the air and distribute it around the van. If it's really cold and you jump in your van, you want heat quick, put it on gas, put it on 240 volt as well, get it up to temperature, and then maybe flick your gas off, because the electric takes quite a while to warm up those bars, especially if you've got the blower on pulling them off. Now on the top here, Ultra Store, that is your hot water. So set the temperature, lined up with that, 40 degrees, flick it on, and away it'll go, click, 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 and that thing at the back, which we just had a look at, there'll be that will heat up your 10 litres of hot water. 40 is normally plenty. If you're going to have a big long shower, you might want to put it up to 60, 70 degrees. By the time you've blended that with cold water, you'll get a much longer shower. So that's your electric heating and your gas hot water. I think we've covered just about everything. I'll put this van back together now, as we've got customers due to collect it shortly. Thank you very much for tuning in Parkgate Leisure. Please have a look at our other vans, ask us some questions in the comments if you like, get in touch if you're looking to buy or sell a motorhome.